Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. This time we're tackling a real-world mystery, uh, one that's got folks in New Jersey scratching their heads.
Right.
It sounds a bit like a movie plot, but it's totally real. We've got missing radioactive material,
Yep.
gone missing, vanished. So buckle up as we dig into everything we know about this missing germanium-68
Yeah.
and try to figure out where it could have possibly ended up.
Right. Sounds like a real head scratcher.
Let's start with the basics. What exactly is this germanium-68? What's it used for, and just how much are we talking about here?
Sure. So germanium 68, or G68 for short, it's a radioactive isotope.
Oh, yeah, I remember isotopes from, like, high school chemistry. But remind me what's special about a radioactive one.
Basically, its atoms are unstable and they decay over time, releasing radiation as they transform into a different element.
Interesting.
In this case, G68 is crucial in medical imaging.
So we're not talking about, like, nuclear power plants or anything like
No,
that.
it's all about healthcare. Specifically, G68 is used to calibrate those sophisticated machines you see in hospitals for cancer scans.
Wow, so making sure those scans are accurate and reliable.
Exactly. Precision is absolutely essential in medical imaging, and G68 plays a key role in that.
That makes sense. But how much of this stuff is actually missing? I mean, is it like a tiny amount or something that should have us all worried?
Well, the official reports say it's 0.267 millicuries.
Millicuries. That doesn't tell me much, honestly.
Yeah, it's a unit for measuring radioactivity. Basically, it indicates how many atoms are decaying and releasing radiation per second.
Oh, I see. So is this 0.267 a lot to be concerned about?
In terms of like immediate widespread danger,
Yeah.
not really. It's considered a relatively small amount.
Okay, that's somewhat reassuring. But still, any missing radioactive material is cause for concern, right?
Absolutely. Even in small quantities, it's not something you want just floating around.
Right, exactly. There's always that potential for misuse or accidental exposure. And I imagine with something used in hospitals, security protocols are pretty strict.
Oh, you bet. You know, this stuff's got to be handled and transported with the utmost care.
Speaking of transport, how did this G68 actually disappear? I mean, what went down here?
Well, the details are still a bit murky, but what we know is that the container it was being transported in for disposal arrived damaged and empty.
Wait, so it was intended for disposal?
Yeah, it looks like it was spent material being sent off to be properly disposed of.
And somewhere along the way, it vanished.
Yep.
That's wild. So are we talking about a possible accident during transport, or could there be something more nefarious going on?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's certainly possible that it was an accident, maybe mishandling or a spill during loading or unloading.
Yeah, those things happen.
But then there's also the possibility of theft.
Ooh, now that gets interesting.
While G68 isn't like highly potent weapons-grade material, it could still be attractive to folks with less than honorable intentions.
Right. I imagine the authorities are exploring all angles here.
Oh, definitely.
Speaking of authorities, who's actually leading the charge on this investigation? Are we talking local police, FBI? What?
Well, the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection is the main agency handling the case.
Okay, so the NJDEP.
Yep, they're working alongside the Nausea Cancer Center, where the shipment originated.
I see. So trying to retrace the shipment steps and figure out where things went wrong.
Exactly.
It's like one of those detective shows where they have to piece together a timeline and look for clues.
Right, and they've got a ticking clock.
Oh, is there like a deadline on this?
Yeah, they've got 30 days to recover the missing G68.
Wow, only 30 days.
If they don't find it within that time frame, they have to submit a very detailed report on the incident.
Oh, so the pressure's on.
Definitely.
You know, it's interesting how cases like this always seem to capture the public's imagination.
Oh, totally.
And with the rise of social media, everyone's an armchair detective these days.
Right. Hashtags, theories, speculation flying everywhere.
Have you seen any of the chatter online about this case? What are people saying?
Oh, it's quite the mix. Some folks are convinced it's a simple accident. You know, stuff happens.
Makes sense.
But then you've got others weaving elaborate conspiracy theories,
Oh, I bet.
linking the missing G68 to like recent drone sightings in New Jersey and whatnot.
Drone sightings. Now that's a twist.
Yeah, apparently there have been some unexplained drone activity in the area, and some folks are connecting that to the missing material.
I mean, it's not entirely implausible.
True. You could imagine a scenario where someone's using drones to search for the G68.
Yeah, like a high-tech scavenger hunt.
Right.
But of course, it's all speculation at this point.
Absolutely no concrete evidence linking the drones to the missing material.
Right. We got to stick to the facts. This whole situation really highlights a broader issue: the security and tracking of these kinds of materials during transport.
Yeah, That's a big one.
I mean, are there any like systemic vulnerabilities that we should be worried about?
While the systems we have in place are pretty decent, there's always room for improvement.
What do you think could be done better?
Well, for starters, tamper-proof containers,
Makes
real-time GPS tracking throughout the entire journey.
right, so you always know where it is.
Exactly. And then stricter regulations and more robust security protocols during loading, unloading, and transit.
Yeah, that all sounds like common sense, but it's amazing how often those basic things get overlooked.
It's true. And this incident could be a wake-up call,
A catalyst for some much-needed improvements.
Hopefully.
So let's put ourselves in the investigator's shoes for a minute. Where would you start looking for this missing G68? What are the most likely scenarios?
Well, given the damaged container, I'd say the most plausible scenario is an accident during handling or transport. Maybe a bump or a drop caused a leak or breakage that went unnoticed.
Right, could be sitting in a ditch somewhere.
Exactly. Or maybe it ended up in a landfill accidentally.
Oh, yeah, that's possible.
And then, of course, we can't rule out the possibility of theft.
Yeah, what would you do if you suspected foul play?
Well, in that case, you'd have to dig into potential motives. Who might benefit from having G68? Could it be someone looking to sell it on the black market?
Ooh, that's scary.
Or someone with more sinister intentions?
Like what?
Well, I don't want to get too alarmist, but, there are individuals and groups out there who might seek to acquire radioactive material for nefarious purposes.
Right, like creating a dirty bomb or something.
Potentially.
Yeah, that's not a thought I want to dwell on. But it's a reality we have to face.
Sadly, yes.
At the end of the day, this whole situation with missing G68, it raises so many questions about safety, security, public awareness.
It really does.
And it's a reminder that even seemingly small amounts of radioactive material can have big consequences.
Very true.
I'm curious what measures will be taken to prevent similar incidents from happening in the future.
Me too. This could be a turning point.
Hopefully in a positive direction.
Right.
So for all of you listening out there,
Right.
we want to leave you with a thought to ponder. What are the wider implications of this incident? How should we be thinking about the handling of radioactive materials, not just in medical settings, but in all the other industries that rely on them?
That's a great question.
It's a complex issue with lots of nuances,
Yep. Lots to consider.
but one that deserves our attention.
Absolutely.
So stay informed, stay curious. And who knows, maybe you'll be the one to crack the case of the missing G68.
Maybe.
We'll be watching.
Until next time.
See you then.